In lesson 5.4, we're going to talk about mid-segments. And as I look at mid-segments, that means basically things that are joining the middles. And we talk about it usually specifically with triangles, but there are some other figures that we could talk about as well. The cool thing about the mid-segments in a triangle is that it divides the triangle into 4 congruent triangles. And I'm going to demonstrate that in just a minute. So I look at the first mid-segment here, E to F, which is joining the middles of AC and BC. I look at mid-segment EG, which is joining the middles of AC and AB. And I look at mid-segment GF, which is joining the middles of AB and CB. And what I notice is I get 4 congruent triangles when I do this. The trick is to look at those 4 congruent triangles. So if I organize them so that they're all looking like the top triangle. So for example, that top triangle is triangle ECF. That's one of the triangles. The other triangles that match up to that triangle are triangles AEG. So here's AEG. A third triangle that's matching up to that is triangle GFB. And the last triangle is the triangle in the middle, which we actually have to spin around to make it look the same. So when I spin that triangle around, notice I'm purposely not drawing these the same. When I look at how it's supposed to be oriented, the F should be on the left, the G should be at the top, and the E should be at the right. And it's very important to have these things oriented the correct way. So as I look at these things, you want to make sure that all of them are oriented the same way. And so when I look at these, what I would see if I were to put markings on them is the E to F would have this double marking, the F to G would have the single marking, and the E to G would be the one with the circle. So as I look at all of these markings, what I notice is on the left I see the single marking on every single triangle. On the right I see the circular marking on every single triangle. And down below I see the double marking for each piece there. And as I look at each of the triangles, I see that those are the correct markings and the orientations of all 4 triangles. And it's very important to name your triangles in exactly the same order every single time, like ECF, AEG, GFB, and FGE. If you don't name them in the same order, they're not correct. In addition to all these neat things, what you'll see is that the mid-segment is not only something that divides that triangle into 4 congruent triangles, but also it is parallel to the third side and half of the third side. So for example, if I were to write down some measurements here, if I were to tell you that these 2 sides were 2 over here, then the purple side to the right is going to be half of the complete AC side, or in other words, it's going to be 2. If I look at the right-hand side of this triangle, and I told you that each of these sides were 3, then the side that is being divided there, the one with the circle, would also have to be 3. And if I told you that from A to B was 8, or in other words, each of these pieces were 4, then the double marking there would be 4. And what you'll notice is that EF, the 4, is half of AB, 8. You would notice that EGF in purple is half of AC on the left, which is 4. You would notice that the 3 side, EG in orange, is half of the side that it divided or is parallel to CB. And then again, also, that each of these pieces is parallel. So the side on the left, here in, let's use some highlights maybe, CA is parallel to FG. I know that CB is parallel to EG. I know that EF is parallel to AB. And all of these properties are happening because we use the midpoints or the mid-segments to join each of the sides. So number 1, 4 congruent triangles. Number 2, the third side is half the mid segments are half of the side that they're parallel to, and number 3, those mid segments are parallel to that third side.